Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of Sedaru Live. Today we'll be discussing Sedaru's enterprise asset management solution for sewer, stormwater, and public works departments. If you guys joined me a couple weeks ago, again today I have an A-list of guests. I have Andrew Hargreaves and Kevin Koshko with me, so it should be a very exciting session. This is really a follow-up to our enterprise asset management for water, and so we're gonna kind of do the same theme today. There'll be no poll questions, but we are definitely looking for you guys to have some Q&A with us at the end. So really excited about it. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kevin for a brief introduction, and then to Andrew, and then I'll come back and we'll get going with the agenda.
Thank you, Dylan. Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Koshko. I serve as head of products here at Sedaru. I've been in the industry for about 20 years, ever since college. So excited to share with you guys some of the things that we're doing. Not so much on the drinking water side, but more on the sewer, the stormwater, the public works, some of the lesser known features that Sedaru has available for your team. So thanks for joining today.
Awesome. Andrew, could you give a brief introduction?
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Andrew Hargreaves. Similar to Kevin, I've been in this business for maybe about 20 years, always in the GIS and data side of things, and always in the water, wastewater, public works kind of world. So again, like Kevin, I'm excited to show you some of the other side of Sedaru. We focus a lot on water distribution, but of course, we're equally as skilled in the public works and the wastewater side of things.
Thank you, Andrew. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dylan McFeatris. I'm the product marketing manager at Sedaru. I am the host for these. I have about 15 years of experience in the utility industry. I will say most of it on the customer service and metering side. So I'll do my best not to screw this up today, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the agenda. Again, just to mention, guys, we would love to have some questions at the end. If you want to put those in through the Zoom controls at the bottom, we will address those at the end of the session today. All right, we did our introductions already. We're gonna hop in to talk about the drops continuum here in a little bit. And then we'll take a look at some of the applications in the Sedaru platform, and then we're going to hop right into the demonstration, right? Meat of it today is the demonstration. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about drops. So Sedaru has kind of come up with this concept of the path to utility automation, right? And all utilities sit somewhere on this continuum as they try and move from the paper-based products of the past to the self-driving future. I like to put a P in front of this for paper. But for our purposes today, we'll focus on the DRO PPS. So what's nice about this, though, is that a lot of the things we're going to show you today show how this path occurs, right? How you mature through this process of getting digitized, and then real time, and then optimizing your work, and then using predictive and preemptive approaches towards driving us to be able to be self-driving. So we're going to talk a little bit about each of the applications today. Just kind of showing those across the bottom of the screen. Those are our core 6 applications. We also use Sedaru Connect, which is really our service to integrate all the data coming from the different areas. And we're going to dig into this a little further here in just a second. But I do want to point out that everyone's on this path, whether they know it or not. And we just use it as a construct to discuss different aspects of the system and how they're going to help you in that path. So Kevin, I'm going to hand it over to you just to give a quick overview of the 6 major products in our suite, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the specifics for our demo today.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. So let's kind of go through the list here just to give the team a high-level overview of the Sedaru product suite. So Sedaru OMNI, Operations Management and Network Intelligence. This is that core office-based tool that we're using for dispatching, tracking, trending, monitoring of your system. And this is inclusive of water, sewer, stormwater, public works, really any assets that you and your team maintain would be managed through that OMNI application. And this is a browser-based tool for, I would consider supervisors, management, and other folks that would need to kind of get a good lay of the land on what's going on within your utility. The next application, Fieldforce, which we'll also cover today, is really that field data collection tool. This is where you're using it on an iPhone or an iPad or a Surface or tablet, but basically allowing you to ground verify and go out in the field and perform all of your maintenance and corrective maintenance tasks depending on work orders, service requests, and any other type of work that you would have out in the field, and provide a real easy user experience around that. Andrew's going to show some really powerful things that Fieldforce can do, not just collecting data in its simplest form, but doing things like logic and making that experience and the data entry extremely intuitive, but also collecting all the right data in the easiest way possible. We also have Sedaru outage. This is real specific for water utility, main breaks, planned outages, and leaks that could be tracked over the course of the life cycle of that event. We have Sedaru modeling, which is also water-based EPA net-driven modeling for what-if scenarios, planning, and things like fire flow, pipes out of service, and demand changes, just as a few examples. We have Sedaru CIP, which is for managing pipeline replacement for both water and sewer utilities. So basically identifying based on how much budget you have, what's the best bang for your buck, what pipes should you replace when and why. So CIP really helps define an action plan based on consequence of failure, likelihood of failure, and ease of construction. And then we have our Sedaru Ops tool, which is really designed for operations and production teams to manage things like SCADA, pumps, tanks, any of those facilities operations, and then being able to incorporate a real-time model to understand not only forensics and past history and things that the system has been doing, but also predict the future by simulating like a pipe or pump being turned off or operating in a different way, and therefore seeing what events and what types of alarms might take place in the future based on those simulations. There's also a water quality tracer component as well for water quality analysis. And then last but not least, the Sedaru Connect. You can see that band at the bottom of these tiles. This is really the integration platform that ties everything together. So every business system that we could connect to, whether that's a CMMS system, whether it's a 811 system, whether it's a SCADA, whether it's sensors, different types of integrations, the Sedaru Connect will incorporate that, tie it into the platform, and make that basically a commercial off-the-shelf integration that's maintained and incorporated into the platform.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. So we are going to now kind of shift focus a tiny bit here, and we're going to just focus in on the three apps that we'll be demonstrating today. Andrew, it looks like you're outside in the cold today. Are you going to do a demonstration from out in the field today?
I'm here in the snowy wastelands of the north. Yeah.
I can agree with you on that one. It is very cold and snowy outside. So let's go ahead and hand it over to you, and we'll get started on the demo.
All right, thank you. Let me share my screen here, Dylan, if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
There we go. All righty. I'm going to start back here in Omni, as Kevin was just sort of outlining. This is browser-based. This is really intended more for office personnel, supervisors, dispatchers, that kind of folk. But the idea here is that Omni can really sort of operate as the central point to unify and amass a lot of data from a lot of different places into a single place, and not just do that, but help you make sense of it when it's all there in that place. So obviously we have a very map-centric layout here. We all know about that these days, right? We can navigate our way around here. We can see all of our assets. We can integrate our GIS right here, and we can see everything that we know about them right there on the map. But we can also leverage something like Sedaru Connect, which was that bar on the bottom of the slide that Kevin was talking about, in order to pull in information from, say, an 811 system. So here we have some performance tiles along the top. And these performance tiles, in this case, this orange one, is intercepting those 811 tickets that come through your system as an email. But it's not just intercepting them, it's plotting them out on the map so you understand the area that you have to go and visit. It's understanding if they're an emergency or not an emergency, and we don't have to jump at them so fast. So you're able to prioritize that workload. We're able to see if there's a name assigned to this or not. And that's because one of the other things that Omni and Connect can do together is automatically assign names to tickets as they come in. So that might be just a name from a list or all of the names on a list, or it could be based on geography. So if you have certain folk who work in the northern half of your territory, and that's where that ticket falls, then their name's going to get assigned to it, and it's going to go straight to their to-do list on Sedaru Fieldforce that we'll see in a little while. So together, Sedaru Omni and Sedaru Connect are working to really do a lot of the heavy lifting for you there. They're intercepting work, they're plotting it out, they're assigning names if it's appropriate, and they're sort of taking that burden off you as a dispatcher or as a super. But of course, they're still providing an insight and metrics back so that you can see what it's doing. You can see that your staff are getting that work. You can see that that work's being undertaken. And as we close the loop on 811, when we go back to Fieldforce later on, you'll see that Fieldforce is able to send back a positive response so that you're able to do this complete sort of soup to nuts workflow when it comes to 811 and send back that information to your 811 vendor in order to close that loop. But some of the other ways that Omni can sort of help alleviate the burden on your day-to-day workflows is through setting up simple setup of work, and then sort of assigning or reassigning that based on some kind of time frame. So I can do something like grab a couple of assets here, and I can do that simply on the map. So I can see them individually. I can see something about this asset. I can see which one it is that I've got right here. Or I could grab them all together by using this red bar for manholes at the top here. And I can quickly and easily assign some work here. So I could say something like, we want to do some CCTV work. And I'm going to assign this to my list of personnel here. So I know that I've got to go do this. And Kevin, you want to come with me?
Yeah, I'll join you. Sounds fun.
All right, it's cold here. Make sure you wrap up. I know you're not used to that. I can add some extra information in here. I can put some description and some comments in here. So I could say something like that for Kevin. I could change the priority of this so that this could be more important, or this could be less important. It's just sort of in the middle important right now. I could set a start date on here. So maybe we don't want to undertake this kind of work, the CCTV inspections, until the beginning of next month. Okay, so it's not going to appear on Kevin's to-do list until March 1st. Or more importantly, is again, I can ask Omni to sort of do some of the heavy lifting for me on a day-to-day basis. So I can set up work recurrence here. And I can say that I could come back here daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. But it's not just that simple. I could come back here and I could say, well, actually, I want to come here every 3 weeks, and I want it to be on a specific day of the week. So I know Kevin likes to work on a Sunday, so we'll say that. And again, I could say that I want this to start March 1st, or I want this to end on a particular day. So if I have a particularly troublesome manhole that is constantly overflowing and it needs constant attention over the next, let's say, 14 days, I could set this thing to occur daily for 14 days, and then I could reassess in 14 days and decide if I need to keep coming back to that manhole that often. So I could put an end date on there. And the point is, of course, that once I've set up my work schedule and I understand that, then it's just humming away in the back of Omni, and that work's going to pop up as and when it's requested to do so. Now, I also have the ability to sort of intervene in that schedule. So I can see the work that I've assigned, and I can either add work in between those periods when I'm asking it to pop up and appear on people's to-do lists, or I could edit some of that work accordingly. So here's some already assigned work that I have. I have these open manhole tasks. I can see, again, I can see the manhole in question here, or I could just see the big list of all of those assigned tasks. I can see who they're assigned to. And now I can come in here, and again, I could pick them individually, or I could pick them universally. And I could come in here and I could say, well, Paul's on vacation here, so we'll take him off the list and we'll ask Bala to come and join the team and make sure that we're going to stay on point, we're going to stay on track, we're going to stay on schedule. And as I reassign that list, I could change the priority. Again, I could add some recurrence here if I didn't have it already, or a start date. And then I'm able to make that change and sort of rebalance my staff work schedule, okay? As people come and go in the organization, or as they're on vacation, or they're not available for one reason or another, I can rebalance the workload between folks here. One of the other neat things that you can do is you can sort of trend any of this information that you see here. So I don't just have to look at it as sort of cold hard numbers across my tiles at the top here. I can do something else like dig back into the inspections that my folks are collecting in the field for me. And we'll see how we do that in a minute with Fieldforce. But I can understand what they're capturing because they're my eyes and ears in the street. And I can sort of see on a much more dynamic timeline what it is that they're either undertaking or the kind of issues that they're finding. So here I am looking at line cleaning that's been undertaken in the past month. I can see, you know, how many line cleaning tasks we've been able to achieve per day as we've done them. So I can see that here we didn't actually get anything done. Maybe there was a reason for that.
Kevin doesn't like working on Sundays, maybe.
Was that a Sunday? Okay, well, there you go. And I can change this timeline so I could get a bit more focused and just look at the past week, or I could look back over the past 90 days and I can see if there's any kind of trend or pattern there, or I could put some kind of custom date range in there. And I can export any of this information from any of these performance tiles or trends so that I'm able to create reports, satisfy my regulatory requirements, and perhaps more importantly, satisfy my boss when they come and they ask for information. And I can share that back with them so that we can understand. So now that we understand a little bit about how Omni can work to help us assign out work on the regular or based on information that we see coming back from the street, how do we get some of that information from the street? And I'm going to jump here to my iPad. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a second. And I'm going to jump in here and share this screen right here. And this is our Fieldforce application. Now, as I said, I'm showing this to you on my iPad here, but of course it's also available on Windows. And maybe we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. But as a field member, here I am. I've got a smart device in my hand, which means I'm able to take advantage of things like GPS down there in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm not going to hit that right now. I'm able to sort of customize the look and feel of my map here, so I can add or remove layers in order to clean up my map. I can change the base map. Okay, everybody likes to look at the aerial imagery, so I can make this thing comfortable as a tool that I want to use. So if I'm working at nighttime, I could put the nighttime map on there, something like that. But most importantly, I've got access to all of the information across the top, the work that was assigned to me in Omni, either by my supervisor, by my manager, or automatically using Sedaru Connect, like we talked about before. So here's that dig ticket that we assigned earlier on, and I can go and I can investigate any of these. I can see all of that information about that ticket. It was parsed out of that email. It was created into this work form for me, so I can see all of the relevant information. Most importantly, I can see I've got something to do. So I'm going to get on and I'm going to mark that up, and I can very easily just indicate what I found in the street. I can take photos and I can attach those as evidence that I've been here. And I can, most importantly, I can send this back and send a positive response when I hit that save button. So now we've communicated back to our 811 vendor, we're off the hook. We've covered our bases and we've made sure that everything's marked up and whoever's going to work there is going to be safe. Now I can record how long that took me. In the field, I can record how long this took, what kind of materials, or maybe what kind of equipment in the form of a truck or something that I used in order to undertake that task. Some of the other things that I can do here is I can undertake some of that CCTV work that I assigned earlier on, okay? So again, Fieldforce makes it easy to understand what I've got to do, where I've got to go to do it. It presents information front and center so that I know I'm looking at the right asset, okay? I should be looking at a vitrified clay 8-inch pipe. I'm going to do some CCTV on that thing. And firstly, I want to get my stats right for this inspection. So here's today's date. Here's the nearest address to where we're going to start. We're looking to do about 96 feet if we go manhole to manhole here. Which manholes are they? Well, it's already there for me. So this is some of the logic that Kevin talked about before, okay? The intent of Sedaru Fieldforce is to make your life easy, okay? We want you to collect high quality data in the field. You are the eyes and ears when you're out there, but we understand that you're also working in very challenging conditions sometimes. And so the more that you can avoid looking down and tapping on a keyboard, and the easier that we can make it for you, then the more likely you are to record that high quality data. So I'm going to get on with this CCTV inspection here. And I'm going to say that I see some roots. And I'm going to say that this thing starts at, let's say, 5 feet down the line, okay? And if it's only a foot long and it ends at, well, we'll say it's a foot long, so it goes to 6 feet, then it's 1 foot long, okay? That's clear. I could put some corrective action in here that we could, if I'm not undertaking it myself, then maybe this goes back to Sedaru OMNI, and somebody else follows on and somebody else does this. But I've done that, and then, oops, didn't do that. And then what I meant to do was to show you, again, some of this logic that's designed to sort of help make life easier for you in the street. So like I said, this thing starts at 5 feet, okay? If I now go and I try to record a second observation, and we'll say that we see an offset joint, and that thing is at 2 feet, then I'm going to be presented with this warning. And it says, well, hang on. You said the first thing you saw was at 5 feet, and now you're saying you see something at 2 feet. We want to work linearly down the pipe, so it's not going to allow me to put things in that order, right? It's going to keep me straight. It's going to make sure that I collect this high quality data. So if I bump that to say 7 feet, then of course, no problem. Okay, I'm moving down the line as I do this. I can add some notes. And of course, because I'm using a smart device, I can take advantage of some of the other features on this device, like dictation. So I can hit the little dictation key and I can talk to this thing, okay? So I can say something like, broken customer lateral, period. And it just puts it in there for me. If I've got gloves on and I don't want to type, then I can just talk to the thing. And of course, I can just keep going down the line here, and I can keep adding more and more observations as and when I see them doing my CCTV inspection. Okay.
Andrew, I just want to point out one of the nice things about what you're showing there is that original form has the to and from manhole. So that information combined with that, what you were just showing, really does provide a linear step-by-step down the pipe, right? It gives direction as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it allows us to sort of plot that information out, right? Because we're recording how many feet from the start we see each defect, and then each follow-on defect from that too.
Yeah, I think another important point is that Siri can translate Scottish as well.
Siri is global. Siri is universal. She's everywhere. Watch out. So of course we have some sort of standard fare here. We have some manhole inspection forms, SSO responses. We have some lateral inspections that are very similar to what you maybe just saw with the CCTV there. But some of the other things that we have that are a little bit left of center and you might not think are applicable or usable through Fieldforce, but perfectly are things like industrial pretreatment follow-ups, okay? So if you have an industrial pretreatment program and you go out and you visit certain sort of industrial customers, you can maybe record some of that interaction, right? Just quickly, it's a pretty standard form. Where am I? What's the address? Who am I meeting? Maybe you want to record something like how many megagallons per day does this customer use, and therefore also discharge. And then when they're discharging it, what do we want to know about it? Okay, especially if this is something like heavily polluted or processed waste, or it's being used as cooling water in contact with something pretty scary and pretty suspicious that we want to anticipate coming down that interceptor line into our wastewater treatment plant, okay? And I think another great example of how you can use Fieldforce in a workflow that you might not anticipate is to be part of a sort of fog program and to do your grease and restaurant inspections. So I got a fair bit of GRE work to do here. This is one of Kevin's favorite places to go for lunch. So hence why we're here at Naperville Pizzeria and Broaster Chicken. I don't know what a broaster chicken is, but okay, maybe Siri.
Broiled and roasted.
Okay, okay. Maybe Siri can tell me later on. But I've got some work to do here. I'm gonna do my GRE inspection. So again, make life easy for you. Okay. Here's the date. Here's the time. Here's where I am. I'm at Naperville Pizza and Broaster Chicken. Fill in a lot of information, maybe from the last time we were here, so that I'm not just sort of wasting time repeating that. So let's have a look what they got here. We'll say that they've got a grease trap. We'll say that it's, I don't know, something like that. We'll say that it's, oh, I can talk to it. I can say, out back in the parking lot, period. There you go. And I don't know, that's about 50 feet. No, it's accessible. And then, so now I get presented with a series of other questions. Why waste the real estate on the screen and why waste your time with all of these other control boxes if you don't need to put information into them? Okay. So do we have the pump information? Do we have the manifest? When was this thing last cleaned? I don't know. The manifest says then, so we'll pick then. What's the pumping frequency? Every 7 days, maybe. What I'm trying to get down to is, if you see at the bottom of this little form, we have these three little boxes. And this, as I put some of this information in here, it'll start to automatically create some of the content that we're ultimately going to have to report out. So I can go in here and I can say that if that box was, let's say, I don't know, 10 inches deep, and I'm trying to use some simple math here, and we have some floating fog of 1 inch and some settleable solids of 1 inch, then they're only about 20% used on their fog, so they're okay. But if we change those values to, let's say, something like that, and we go up to 60% at the bottom of that form there, it's calculated for us. That's also over a threshold. Anything over 25% is going to incur an infraction. And so now we're starting to amass infractions, and we're starting to generate a little report that we can kick out at the end of this. So are they in compliance? No. Why? Because their fog is above 25%. That was all automated by Fieldforce for me right there. I'm going to follow up here in 3 days, which means now I also have a re-inspection date set. And when I save this, that's going to go back to Sedaru OMNI, and we're going to be able to see that through one of those performance tiles at the top, and we could put a name against that, or we could change an existing name against that. And again, understand our work demands moving into the future. I could take some photos and I could talk to it again and give some comments there, but you've seen that, you've heard that. So using Sedaru Fieldforce as part of a fog inspection program is perhaps something you've never thought to do in the past, but it's a really robust solution and it lends itself very well. Just to give you one more example of this logic and to highlight our other offering here, I'm going to jump back to my desktop and I'm going to show you Fieldforce in Windows. And here I've got some catch basins, got to do some catch basin cleaning. I can again see my to-do list and understand what I have to do. I can go and I can visit any one of these catch basins, see something about it, and I can understand that I've got to do this work. So again, same thing here, right? That maybe I can say that this is a circular catch basin. And if I say that it's about 2 feet wide and it's about 10 feet deep, and that the lowest invert just off the bottom of that thing is 9 feet down, then that means I only have a sump of 1 foot, okay? Now, as I start to investigate the amount of trash or debris inside of this thing, and I say, well, actually, there's only 2 feet down before I start hitting sediment, then I can understand that I've got about 8 feet of sediment in this thing. I'm about 80% full, and that equates to about 25 feet of 25 cubic feet of sediment that I have to remove. That's a number that you sometimes have to report out. You have to amass it over a period of time. Here's a way that you can do that. Now, of course, it's dynamic, which means that if I made a mistake and I said, oops, this isn't circular, this is rectangular, well, I have to put in an extra dimension now, okay? Because this now is 6 feet long by 2 feet wide. It's a pretty big catch basin. And I say that it's actually only 5 feet down. Again, it'll recalculate on the fly. It'll provide all of those numbers for me, and it's going to track them so that if I say, was this cleaned or not? Did I do this right now? Did I vac it out? Then I can report out on all of these numbers. I have all of this information, and it's nice and easy for me to collect that high quality intel in the street. And then for my manager or whoever to grab those numbers through Sedaru OMNI and either trend them or report them out to make life easy for them once again. Back to you, boys. Thanks for your help there, Kevin.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, man. The seeing all that logic that you put together on those forms, and just it's nice when you can fill something out and then you only see the fields that you care about, right? It's not like you're having to scroll through unnecessary or data points that don't really apply to your current inspection. The forms, like building itself and changing dynamically based on that, it seems pretty straightforward. Nice work.
Exactly, right? We've both done field work. We've both been out there. Me in the cold here, you in the hot sun there. Either way, like we've said, right? It's important to keep your head on a swivel, see what's going on around you, and make sure you're safe. But also, you are the eyes and ears out there, and in order to collect as much high quality data as you can get, then we want to make life easy for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. So let's go ahead, guys, and we'll just do a little bit of wrap up. I do want to, again, request questions. We'd love to field some questions at the end of the call here in just a minute. Again, just kind of throwing up the Sedaru product overview. Today we really covered OMNI Fieldforce and Sedaru Connect. I think Andrew did a great job of showing the interconnectedness between OMNI and Fieldforce, and also a couple of different device types he got to show us there with the Windows as well. So thank you for that. I would just like to mention that the also can be used on phones, right? So Fieldforce actually works quite well for a lot of those things on a phone platform as well. Kevin, anything to add about the products or a little summary before we get into Q&A?
No, I think that's, we really focused on OMNI and Fieldforce. We talked about the two flavors of Fieldforce that Andrew showed, one on the iOS on the iPad, and then he jumped over to Windows. You could see it looked and felt very much similar And then Dylan, yeah, thanks for your point on the phone. I think that's a really important use case. And there's a lot of great workflows where you don't necessarily need a gigantic, tablet or an iPad. You can just, work off of the phone that you have. You got enough screen real estate to work through your list, fill out your forms, and move on to the next task. So yeah, it was, great to see those in action.
Okay, awesome. All right, so it is time for question and answer at this point. I will give us a couple minutes here to let people filter in any questions they have. As I said before, the Zoom control has a little Q&A with two talking icons. If you're interested in asking us a question, we would be more than happy to answer it for you today. While I wait for that, I will just point out that this recording from this webinar today, as well as all the rest of our webinars that we've done in the past, are available on our YouTube channel, which is right there. We very much appreciate people looking into those, looking at some of the past ones to see the growth in the product or more specific use cases. Andrew showed fog and 811 today. We have sessions specifically on 811, specifically on fog, a number of other topics that we covered today as well. If you're interested in following Sedaru and learning what we're up to, what's coming, the rest of our social media platforms are listed there as well.
Cool. Hey, I see a question here related to we see that there's based on sewer cleaning and catch basin inspection. Does this also work for like sign inspections or sidewalks or other public works related items?
Andrew,
Yeah, very much so. I mean, any kind of asset inspection, right? So the forms you saw me demonstrate there on Fieldforce, they're not necessarily hard and fast forms that you have to stick with. Obviously, we have a lot of experience that we've gathered from a lot of different customers, and we've amassed those into what we would call a standard form or a preferred form. But if you want to apply that to something else, like street signs, like street lights, like anything, and you want to create something completely fresh and custom, then you're perfectly capable and able to do that and access it through Fieldforce.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, expanding on that, we do have also like a handful of customers that are using that specific workflow in production. So we've seen like sign work, we've seen traffic lights, seen trees maintenance. So quite a few.
Kevin, guardrails as well, right?
Yep. Yep.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right. There's one other question here. Basically, Sedaru is in an event management program. I still need to keep CMMS programs for work orders and lists of assets. This one's coming from Hal.
Yeah, I'll start with this one. So yeah, so Sedaru supports events, and it also works as a standalone CMMS software application. If you have an existing work order system in place, let's say you have CityWorks or Maximo, Sedaru can serve as the front end for that, where you can utilize the forms that Andrew showed you, that user experience, simplified for field crews, and then using Sedaru OMNI to do reporting and other things like that. And then, yeah, within Sedaru, it can also manage those work orders on its own. So we have, our own, engine that supplies and supports Recurrence that Andrew showed you, being able to support labor, material, equipment, all of that applied to those work tasks with or without a business system.
Great, thank you. Looks like Hal just put a little clarifier in for maintenance connection. I'm not sure I understand the connection there, but I'm sure you guys do.
Yeah, well, maintenance connection MC is a work order CMMS system. So yeah, so that's one of several different work order platforms out there. We haven't specifically tied with that one to date, but we have worked with many similar to that. So that could be something that we discuss, as a integration project or other.
Great, wonderful. Well, Andrew and Kevin, I don't see any other questions in the list. I do appreciate the questions that we did get. As always, we look forward to seeing you guys on another webinar in the future. We're always open to additional suggestions for topics that you would like us to cover as well. So appreciate everyone today. Thank you again to my A-list guests of Kevin and Andrew. I'm sure my next one will be quite boring with only one other person. So hope to see you guys all again, and take care, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.